Hi, my name's Hanno Southam. I participated in the Get Outside BC project in summer of 2011. I'm now 19 years old, and I'm studying kinesiology at the University of British Columbia. We climbed up Pulpit Rock. It's just a small hike near my home community of Nelson, to hopefully catch some sun in the background of this video. When I participated in Get Outside BC, I was only 14, so the project really acted as an introduction to leading autonomously or leading independently. And what I really gained from the project was that I was surrounded by this group of individuals that shared this common love for nature. I have never viewed nature as this wild, expansive wilderness, but rather as this place of peace and solstice and adventure. And I shared that with this group of individuals. In addition, we shared this sadness for the void or this gap that existed between the youth of BC, our friends and peers, and nature. And it was something that we all passionately wanted to make a change in. So this issue that Get Outside BC tries to tackle was something that I really struggled to articulate when I arrived at the summit. It was something more that I felt and saw, but struggled to completely understand in the youth surrounding me. So the summit then provided, and through the collaboration and mentorship that I experienced there, it provided an understanding and the ability to articulate this issue that I so passionately wanted to change. In addition, it provided the skill set that was required for me to create an impactful event, to have an impact on this issue and to make a lasting change in the youth of my community. The skills that I gained were in networking, collaboration, cultural and environmental sensitivity, and the ability to listen, to name a few. To listen, rather. Example. In listening to the Indigenous speakers at our summit, the respect for nature that they had, I came to understand that. The respect for the land and the life surrounding you and the projects that you have and the way that you interact with nature, I really came to understand the respect that was required to coexist with nature. The relationship between Indigenous people and nature is always something that I have, as I have interacted with Indigenous people, I've always wanted to understand and emulate. Their thankfulness and coexistence with nature is one that I would incorporate into any project furthermore. So then, as we progressed on to the phase 2 of our project, these skills that I had gained in networking and collaboration and so on and so forth were put to the test. Example, in needing to advertise for my event, I was required to network. This was the first use of what we now call the MUM network, and it's this in a small community, the effect that can be had by one MUM sending out an email to all of the parents that she knows. The effect that has on reaching the youth in our community is astounding. It is something that we use to this day. So, in summary, the Get Outside BC project allowed for me to articulate this problem that I saw and understand it. And furthermore, it allowed for me and provided the skill set to create an impactful project. And those skills are some that I used in the next initiative and the next and the next and the next, and still use today. So it really had an impact on the way that I view leadership. All of these skills that I learned were instilled into my identity as a leader. So in moving forth to the qualities that I see as a leader, there exists this traditional perception of leadership as leaders being those who sit atop the social hierarchy, and those who exercise and accumulate power. But leadership is far from solely represented by this leader-first type of personality. Servant leadership is something that was first kind of coined by Robert F. Greenleaf, and it begins, I'm going to quote him here, it begins with this desire to serve and to serve first. And the biggest difference between servant first and leader first leadership is that servant leadership aims to share the power that exists. They exist at opposite ends of the leadership spectrum, and there's many shades of gray that exist between them. A servant leader can really identify as such when they can reflect on their project and ask whether those who were served or those who were led really grew and became better people. It is in serving people and having people grow and become more independent and become leaders themselves. That is the property of servant leadership that I most appreciate. So, servant first and leader first, again, they exist on opposite ends of the spectrum, and I don't want to discredit either one of them. They both have benefits, but it is this personality of a servant first leader that I wish to embody, or that I make an effort to embody. So that represents the first quality that forms my perception of leadership. It is that desire to serve and serve first. The second quality that I see in my perception of leadership is the ability to listen. For it is in listening to those who you serve or lead that you come to understand the importance of the issue. For example, the Get Outside BC project aims to greaten or further the connection with youth in BC and nature. And it is in listening to a youth who has had little exposure to nature that you come to understand why this is so important. As we progress and as this generation begins to tackle some of the biggest issues that we will tackle in our time on this earth, it is integral that we come to understand the diversity of nature and the importance of maintaining this diversity and maintaining this connection with nature. So I want to emphasize that I don't see this issue with there being a lack of connection between nature and the youth of BC. I don't see it as being a dislike or disdain for nature. I just see it as being a lack of exposure. When you talk to someone who has had little exposure to nature, they often have a misperception of it, and it is in being exposed to it and having the opportunity to be exposed to that they come to understand its importance. So the second quality that I see in the leader is the ability to listen, for it is in listening that you come to understand the importance of these issues. The last is passion, and it's simply just to lead with passion, to lead in areas that you are passionate about. Passion is sort of contagious and is so important that throughout these projects that you may lead, you must lead with passion. In sharing my connection with nature and it being a place of peace and kind of healing for me, people come to understand it and find their own connection with nature. So it was really important for me when I did my project and when I do project and interact with nature now, to lead with this passion and to share my connection with nature. In moving forth to my contribution as an intern, it would be in following what I've just talked about as a servant leader. I make an effort to lead by facilitating the learning of others. It is essential for natural leaders to understand this issue between youth and nature, and further to understand why this issue is important to them. However, the process by which they come to understand these things, it has to be largely autonomous. It has to be led by themselves and can only be facilitated by others. Thus, I see my impact as being a facilitator. Further, the diversity of the leadership projects and initiatives that I have been involved in really provide a basis to act as a mentor and a resource for the actual act of creating projects in the community. A workshop that I would present, or that I would like to present, would be proposing a workshop surrounding the idea of the spectrum of leadership. To understand this spectrum allows you to understand where you exist on it and where you aspire to be. Presenting this idea would be in the form of a presentation and then leading into a discussion. But it is the discussion that I see as being really beneficial. The discussion would surround the idea of what qualities do you see in yourself as a leader, and then good and bad, and what qualities, good and bad, do you see in a leader whom you idolize. And in this discussion style, these ideas can be presented and challenged, and it provides this opportunity and a platform for a reflective process as a leader, and allows you to grow and become a better one. This would really further the process of molding their identity, the natural leader's identity, and my own identity as a leader, and just as Get Outside BC did for me. That concludes my application video. Thank you for taking the time to listen to me. I hope I haven't gone on too long.
Woo! We made it!
Is it good?
Oh, it's flashing red.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, man.